Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today we are going to do a full face of makeup. I'm not really going to anything today, so it's just kind of playing around. But I do have a lot of events like weddings and engagement pictures and a bunch of other stuff where I will need to have a full face of makeup done. So today it's really just going to be about practicing and showing you guys what I use, how I do it, and hopefully you guys can kind of give me some advice or any other recommendations you may have. So we're just gonna go through this together. Before we start, kind of in perfect timing, right before I started filming this video, I did get a Sephora order delivered. So I just wanted to give you guys a quick haul of what I got from Sephora. I've been really wanting to try out some new mascaras, so a lot of it is mascaras. I actually bought 2 mascaras and then the rest are just little things that I got using my Sephora points. So a lot of these are like little sample size items, but anyway, still wanted to give you guys a little haul. Here's my little Sephora box. Starting with the 2 mascaras that I did purchase on my own that weren't purchased using Sephora points. I got this Tower 28 mascara. This is their Make Waves mascara, and it says it visibly lengthens and volumizes for the most amped up lashes. It's lightweight and endlessly buildable. So I'm excited to try this one out. And then the other mascara I bought is this Tartelette XL tubing mascara. I've been really wanting to try a tubing mascara for a while, so I'm really excited to try this. I've been having issues with my current mascara smudging just because my eyes have been getting really dry lately, so I've just been blinking more, and since I've been blinking more, it's kind of been smearing more under my eyes. That's why I've been really interested in getting a new mascara. And I've used my old mascara for years and I've absolutely loved it, basically until I've been starting to get a little bit more dry eye. So like I said, the next few products are ones that I got technically for free because I used my Sephora points. And so all of them are these smaller sample sizes of things. Continuing with mascaras, I got this Kosas Soul Gazer mascara. It's lengthening and lifting peptide mascara. And the last mascara I got is this Giorgio Armani Vertigo Lift mascara. This mascara is extremely buildable, length, and clean volume mascara. This one caught my eye because I've never gotten any makeup from Armani before, and I've never gotten makeup from a luxury brand like Armani. So I was really interested to see the quality and kind of how this mascara compares to all the others. So that's it for mascaras, but I also got this Glow Recipe Watermelon Glow Pink Juice Moisturizer. I use a lot of Glow Recipe products like my toner and the Glow Mist and sunscreen. I don't use a moisturizer. No particular reason why or why not. I've just never tried it before. So when I saw this, that I was able to get it using my Sephora points, I figured I might as well try it since I do love all of my other Glow Recipe products. So I'm excited to use this. Keep in mind that these were all purchased with Sephora points, and that's why this is so teeny tiny. But the next is this Laura Mercier powder. This is a translucent loose setting powder, and I'm typically not a big powder person. I really don't use powder a lot when I'm doing my makeup. No particular reason, I just feel like I never really learned how to do my makeup using powder, and so I've been kind of wanting to try it, test it out, see how I like it. And kind of similar with the other Armani mascara, when I saw that this was available using Sephora points, I figured it was a good time to try it. This is just like a tiny little tester, and it is translucent, so I didn't have to worry about getting the right shade or anything like that. So definitely eager to try this out. And last but not least, this is actually something that I got completely for free. Like, I didn't purchase it, nor did I use Sephora points to buy it. I think it was just kind of like a free gift that came with my order. But I've actually heard really good things about it, and that is the Danessa Myricks Beauty Yummy Skin Blurring Balm Powder. And this is the shade Rosé in Brunch. So I'm not even entirely sure what this is. I think it's like a blush, but let's open it real quick and find out. Like I said, this is not something that I added myself. It was just a little free gift, but I'm intrigued. I don't know if this is just me, but I love opening brand new makeup products and taking them out of the box. I also do love when content creators kind of like tap it. I don't know if that's just me. I feel like it's very 50-50 whether people kind of like that or think it's annoying. So I'll try not to do it that much in case you do think it's annoying. Oh my gosh, this is so teeny tiny and cute. This is what it looks like. I feel like the shade is a little bit darker than something I would typically pick for myself, but I'll definitely use it. Here's what the shade looks like. Like I said, this is the shade Rosé in Brunch. Reading the little box, I think this is actually just a stain that I can either use on my cheeks or on my lips. Based on the the shade, I think it might be a little bit more of a lip product just for me and what I like with my shades, but couldn't hurt to try it out for both. But let's get started with my full face routine. I always do like using these little clips just to pull the hair around my face back just so it doesn't get in my way. Also, a quick note, I do have my little side mirror over here. So if you ever see me looking over here to the side, I'm just looking at my little mirror. So starting out with just pulling my hair back. The only thing I have on my face right now is my skincare from this morning. I put on some lotion and that was the last thing I put on. And I have regular chapstick on my lips. But other than that, I'm completely barefaced. So let's start out with some primer. In another Sephora order that I ordered a couple weeks ago, I also used my Sephora points to get this little Hourglass Vanish airbrush primer. And I did really like it. I've used it once before for our engagement pictures. And I feel like whenever I have a big event, this is probably gonna be my primer that I'm gonna go ahead and reach for every time. But since this is just a little sample size, I think for right now, I'm gonna save this and use a different primer. So when those bigger events do come up, I have this ready to go. Also, it is so dark in here. So I have my ring light, my big mirror, and my small mirror all putting light on me as best as possible. This is probably the worst day to be filming a makeup related video, but we're just gonna make it work. Anyways, back to primers. I feel like my face has been super dry recently, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and use this e.l.f. hydrating primer just to start off with. I'm also gonna take my ring off because I use my hands a lot to put things on my face and I just don't wanna get my ring dirty. Also just like to keep a little towel on my vanity just to wipe off my hands or brushes or anything else I might need a little towel for. So when it comes to foundation, I tend to flip-flop a lot. And so real quick, I'll show you my go-tos. I feel like my go-to day-to-day foundation is this Clinique Beyond Perfecting because it is both a foundation and a concealer. But lately, my go-to has been this Fenty Beauty Soft Lit Foundation. For the Clinique, I am in shade 2 Alabaster, and for the Fenty Beauty, I'm in the shade 185. And I think for today, we're gonna stick with the Fenty Beauty. But sometimes if I don't want a completely full face, full coverage, I will use the Charlotte Tilbury Flawless Filter. Oh my goodness, I cannot talk today. And as you can tell, my bottle is used and abused. This one's actually almost out. And so I already have my backup ready to go. And this one, I am in the shade 2, which is just fair. But I know this can also be used for layering to kind of give you a soft glow under your makeup and under your foundation. And so I think that's what we're gonna kind of try out today. I personally like a very dewy look when it comes to my makeup, and this definitely helps me achieve that. Sometime last week, I tried it for the first time where I put the Charlotte Tilbury under the Fenty Beauty, and I did end up really liking how that looks. So you know what, we're just gonna try this again. Obviously, like I just said, I've only tried this once before, so I'm not sure if this is gonna be my go-to, but as I mentioned, this is just gonna be a little practice run for me, for you, for all of us to kind of go through together. My hands have zero traction from the primer, so I literally cannot get this open. So for the Charlotte Tilbury, it just kind of comes with this applicator, and I'll just use it, kind of put dots all over my face, and then I'll just blend from there. And the Charlotte Tilbury is very thin, so depending on how much you want, you can kind of add a lot or as little as you like. I think I'm just gonna stick with that for now, especially since we're going to layer this. And then I'm just gonna go in with a beauty blender that I'm gonna go dampen real quick and then use the damp beauty blender to blend this all out. Like, look at this glowy base. I just love how much it just makes your skin look so fresh and so glowy and so beautiful. I'll probably add just a teensy more, just like I said, I do like a very dewy, very glowy look. And then we'll move on to the Fenty Beauty foundation. Moving on to the Fenty Beauty foundation. This one is just a little squirt top. I don't know if that's what you call it, but just wanted to show you guys how it's different from this one that has the applicator. So how I typically do this is I'll apply it with a brush, and I'll originally just put some of the foundation on the back of my hand and then use the brush to kind of even it out and then apply it to my face. And I'll typically just do about like one and maybe like a little half squeeze and then just kind of get the excess off. My go-to foundation brush is this Makeup by Mario dual-ended one. I don't know exactly what it's called, but I think it's the F4 brush because it says F4 right there. So like I said, I have the foundation on the back of my hand, and then I'll just use the larger side of this foundation brush to kind of just even it out on the brush and kind of spread it out so it's nice and even. And then I'll just kind of start dabbing it on my face to kind of even it out all over my face, going up the nose to the forehead, down to the chin and neck, and kind of blending down a little bit from there, just a little bit on the eyelids. And then from here is where I'll kind of start blending, and then just kind of evenly picking up more foundation from my hand. I'm also on my period right now, and so I feel like I'm breaking out a lot on my face right around here. And so I'm trying to be a little bit more wary about the coverage that I put right here. All right, I am loving the coverage that this is giving me, and I feel like I truly look like a glazed donut, just so dewy and so shiny in a good way. But I do feel like both the Charlotte Tilbury and the Fenty do feel kind of heavy on my face. I'm not a super huge makeup wearer, and so if you're used to wearing a lot of makeup, maybe it'll feel more normal to you, but for me, this is not an every single day kind of thing, especially not both of them together. So it does feel a little bit heavy for me, but I love the way that it looks together. So now that my foundation is on, I like to do concealer. I'm not a huge concealer girl, but I do like to do just a little bit, especially when I am breaking out and kind of covering up those blemishes or that redness that I mentioned earlier. For concealer, I use the Tower 28 concealer in the shade K-Town. So I really won't do a lot. Like even when I pull out the applicator, I'll kind of wipe off some of the excess so there's not a lot on the brush, and just kind of do a little bit right under my eyes, and a teeny bit on my eyelids, and then just anywhere else where I kind of feel like I need the extra coverage. To blend that, I will use this Sephora brush. This is their concealer brush. I was able to get a bunch of Sephora brushes in a kit. I don't remember exactly how much it was, but I know it was reasonably priced, and I was able to get a bunch of brushes. I think it came with like 5 or 6 of these brushes, and so that's what I've been using for concealer. And I really like this concealer brush because it is angled a lot and it's pretty firm, which I like for my concealers. And sometimes I do get eczema right around my eyes, and so if a brush is feeling a little bit too harsh on my dry skin, I'll go in with this teeny tiny little baby beauty blender and kind of blend using that. And I really like it because I'm able to get really close to my eyes, and since it is moist and soft, it is kind of a little bit less harsh than the brush. But moving on to the next step is my contour. I really only use contour, like I don't really use a bronzer. I do have some bronzers that I've tried and nothing wrong with them, like I did love them, but I typically just stick to my contours. And for my contour, I use this Milk Makeup. I got this at the very beginning of last year, the beginning of 2024, and it has become so used and abused. As you can see, this one is almost out. And this is the Sculpt Stick in the shade Toasted, and I just think it's the perfect shade of a cool brown. Another one that I just got that I'm really looking forward to trying, I think I've only tried once, is this Makeup by Mario Soft Sculpt Shaking Stick in the shade Light Medium. And so this is another really pretty cool brown. This might become my go-to once this milk is completely done, but I do love this milk one so much. I feel like these shades aren't too far off from each other either, but I do like this milk one a little bit better. So that's what we're gonna stick with for today. I will say, since this one is almost out, I used to put it up a little bit and then kind of use it more on its side so it's not as thick as this is when I'm applying it. Like for example, with this Makeup by Mario, instead of applying it straight on like this, I would kind of put it on at an angle so it's not as thick and as harsh. But since this one's almost out, I can't really do it with this one. Also, since this milk is such a perfect shade of brown, I actually kind of like to use it as an eyeshadow also, at least on the outside of my eyes. And so when I do apply my contour, I'll just kind of put it on my eyes a little bit like this, kind of focusing on the outer part of my eyes. And it just gives such a gorgeous shade of brown that kind of looks very natural, especially since it does match the contour on your face. For my contour, I just have this little brush. I think I just got this brush set off of Amazon. I've had it for a long time. It's called Real Perfection, but it's Amazon. And I use this one because similar to the contour brush, similar to the concealer brush, it's at an angle, and then I'll kind of pinch it a little bit, and then it's perfect for my cheek. And then I'll just fan it up to kind of blend it out a little bit more. And then for the contour on my eyes, I'll just go in with a fluffy eyeshadow brush and kind of blend it out using the eyeshadow brush. And this brush is from that same little Amazon set that the contour brush is from. I put just a little bit too much on my eyes, but that is why we keep a little handy dandy towel around, so I can just gently clean it up. Next up in my normal routine is blush. I used to not be a blush person at all. As I keep saying, I just have naturally really red cheeks, and so I was like, why am I gonna put more of a red tint on my already red cheeks? But then I started using it and I fell in love with the look of blush. I just think it looks so girly and cute and adds that additional little pop of color to your face. My go-to blush is this Tarte blush tape. This is the shade Satin Buffed Rose. I got this last Christmas. It kind of came in like a little set with another blush and then a liquid highlighter, but this one has been my go-to. It's such a pretty color and it blends so easily, and it's pretty thin, so it may look like you're applying a lot, but then once you kind of blend it out, it looks really good and doesn't look like a lot of blush at all. And so I like to do my blush kind of up here on my cheek, and then I'll do like a little dot, just to add like a tiny little bit of color all over my face. And then I'll just go in, this is another Sephora blush brush that I got in that Sephora pack that I was telling you guys about. And then I'll just kind of blend it all out. This brush is super fluffy, and so I love the way that it blends. I typically try to blend my blush upwards and then a little bit towards my nose to kind of connect it to that piece of blush that I put right on the bridge of my nose. I think it adds just like such a perfect, pretty color to your face. And then I'll kind of try to connect it with my eyes a little bit. I think I'll add a tiny bit more to this side. But I feel like it just looks so gorgeous. It almost looks natural and gives you just the perfect little pop of pink on your face. Now let's jump more into eyes and eyebrows. Starting with eyebrows, I will start just by brushing out my brows. This is a little hack that I've been using for years. I'm not a really big fan of the gelled back eyebrows look just on me personally. Like, I love how it looks on other girls and I think it's so cool. I just don't love it on myself. And I do love a fluffier brow. And I feel like as someone who just has naturally dark eyebrows, what I have been using for years and years and years is just a plain black eyeshadow for my eyebrows. And so for my eyebrows, I will go in with this Makeup by Mario palette. This is the Master Matte's original palette. And as you can see, especially this black right here is used and abused. And so I will just get my little eyebrow brush and then tap it a little bit in the black, and then just start filling in my eyebrows from there. And I'll kind of follow the way that the hair grows. So like for these hairs that grow upwards, I'll kind of start brushing upwards and then just following that direction until we get to the other side and begin to go down. And then I will go with the other side of this little brush with the little spoolie and kind of brush them out. And this also helps disperse the eyeshadow, so you're not using as much product, just trying to fill in your brows. And then same with the other side, starting with the brush up and then just following the direction of the hair. So kind of a good thing and a bad thing about using eyeshadow for your brows is if you ever mess up, especially if you already have like a base of foundation on, you can easily just kind of like shape it with your finger and then just obviously like wipe your finger off. But kind of in the same way that that's a negative, if you're already out and about and if you touch your eyebrow or if you scratch it or like hit it or something, it will kind of smear a little bit easier than if you're using a brow gel or something else that was meant for your brows. Sometimes if I'm going out to dinner or going to somewhere where I do want a little bit more shimmer, I will use my handy dandy little e.l.f. shadow. This is the Finest Fleck Glitter Eyeshadow in the shade Champagne Showers. And then once again, I will just get a nice and fluffy eyeshadow brush and just kind of go all over and then just apply it on the inside of my eyes right over that contour just to give it a little bit of shimmer. And I love the way that these two colors kind of complement each other, especially as a brown-haired, brown-eyed girly. I just think it looks so pretty together and adds a nice little touch. And that kind of goes the same way for highlight. I don't always use highlight, just kind of when I want something a little bit more shimmery and sparkly. So for my highlight, I do have a lot of options, but I feel like when I want just like a light highlight, I'll reach for this Charlotte Tilbury little palette. This is the Hollywood Blush and Glow Glide palette. So obviously it has the highlight and the blush. And I'll just get this little fan brush and go over it a little bit with the highlight and do a little bit on my nose, and then kind of high up on my cheekbones, and a little bit chin, just a bit forehead. And that is pretty much it for my base of my face. This is when I like to go ahead and spray my setting spray, just because I don't really like doing it after my lips and my mascara. For my setting spray, I use this One Size On Till Dawn waterproof setting spray. I'll just give it a good shake. This stuff is worth the hype. I absolutely love it. And while that's drying, I swear I always forget to curl my eyelashes, but since we are gonna try a new mascara today, I figured that I definitely need to remember. So I'm gonna go ahead and curl my eyelashes. So since this is all about my regular routine, I did want to show you guys the mascara that I typically use. And like I said, I've been using this mascara for literally years and years and years, probably like a decade now. I think I started using this when I was in middle school. But this is the L'Oreal Voluminous Million Lashes, and I use the shade Blackest Black. I, first of all, love the applicator. I don't know why, I just love this brush. I feel like I've never been able to find another mascara that has as good of a brush as this. One of my very best friends also uses this mascara, and she absolutely raves about the brush also. And there is a waterproof version, but I don't really use the waterproof version just because I do love how easily it washes off your face. What I absolutely hate about mascaras is when you go in the shower and wash your face, and then come out of the shower and wash your face and take off all your makeup and do every single little thing, wipe your eyes, use micellar water, use makeup wipes, whatever you use, and you still have mascara on your face or on your eyelashes, and it just will not come off. And so I love that this comes off super easily. Since I did get so many new mascaras, I'm gonna go ahead and try one of those for you guys. If you don't have any eye issues like me, like I just said, I really just want to try a new one since I've been getting very dry-eyed lately, and it just causes me to blink a lot more than a normal person, which causes this to smudge. So if you don't have any of those issues, this is a great mascara. It's a great drugstore mascara too, so it's pretty cheap. But let's go ahead and use the Tarte mascara that I got today. I'm really intrigued by this since this is a tubing mascara. So like I said, this is the Tarte Tartelette XL tubing mascara, and I don't know what the shade is. I think it's just black or something. Also very intrigued because this brush has like the tiniest little bristles on it. So like they are barely off the main part of the brush. But you know, let's try it. All right, here is what it looks like. Before I get into my very first impression thoughts, I would like to preface this in saying that my Hispanic genes really came through for my eyelashes. I am so lucky to have naturally dark, long eyelashes, so I really don't think any mascara is gonna look bad on me. Not to toot my own horn, but I do love my eyelashes. I do love my natural lashes. These are 100% natural, obviously, other than the mascara that I just put on them. So with that being said, how this mascara looks on me is not necessarily how it's gonna look on everyone, but here's kind of like a closer look. I think this eye turned out better than this eye. The brush was a little bit weird to use just because, like I said, the little bristles on that brush were very, very small. And I felt like that made it hard to have my lashes not stick together. Like I feel like, I'm sure I look a little crazy right now, but I feel like they're a little bit more clumped together than I am used to. But it did give me a lot of additional length. And so I'm not complaining. We'll see. I think the biggest test is just how it lasts throughout the day. If it's gonna smear or smudge at all, especially under my eyes, and how it's going to last tonight, and also how it's going to be tonight, if it's gonna be easy to take off since it is a tubing mascara. So we'll just kind of see how this mascara plays out. And I'm also really excited to try out my other mascaras. And then last but not least is lips. Since this is a regular beauty routine video, I'm gonna stick with what I regularly do instead of that new product that I just got with my Sephora order. And I always use the Summer Fridays lip oil. This is the Dream Lip Oil in the shade Bare Sand. Here's what it looks like. It's a very, very light pink, and it is become a great go-to grab, especially when I'm needing lip hydration, which is pretty much always. A few other of my go-tos are the Kosas lip oils, but I love the natural look of this one since it's not super pigmented and not super thick. But here is the final look. I absolutely love the way that everything turned out, especially my face. I still feel like a literal glazed donut. I just love the dewy, glowy look of everything. Please, in a nice way, let me know if you have any recommendations of things to change or products you'd like me to try. Like I mentioned at the beginning of this video, I'm still learning makeup myself. This is kind of like a little trial for me. So I'm very eager to expand my knowledge on all my beauty products and my makeup application. But for today, I think I did a great job. Let me know if you guys like these types of videos or if there's anything similar that you guys would be interested in seeing. Thank you so much for being here. It means so much to me, especially if you've made it to this part of the video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.